Hi everyone, it's Niamh here and welcome to my art journaling channel. Today we're going to be working on my 100-day project, and this is looking at making really quick abstract marks. So I'm starting off in my junk journal, and you can see on this page I was testing out some new watercolors I got from, where did I get them from? From Jane Davenport, and the new pastel and I think they're called lolly layer cake paints. So they're very yummy, but I just tried them on this page. It's not really great watercolor paper, so I wasn't really happy with how the swatching turned out, and I decided I wanted to collage over the top. So I decided that I would use some of my tissue papers from Tim Holtz, I think most of these are, tear them up and glue them down into my book using gel medium. And I've done that for two reasons. One, because I wanted some pattern and texture in the background, but also because the paper that I'm using, I'm working in a junk journal, and some of the papers are quite thick and some of them are quite thin. You can sort of see how it's wrinkling up there. So this is slightly lighter than a computer paper, printer paper in my junk journal. So I just wanted, by putting a little bit of gel medium over it and a little bit of collage there, it just gave it a little bit more strength and coating on the page so it could take some extra wet media. So I started off using some blushing, which is a pink and olive paint, and then I'm putting in some marine, and I really love these colors together. They just look beautiful, and I think it may be because you've got those little patches of color coming through from behind, but they just tonally really go together and give it almost a vintage vibe. And I'm not putting on very much paint. I'm using a fairly watery brush as well as I'm putting it on. So you can see particularly there, this is very watery. I mixed some night with some white to give that sort of creamy effect, and I made this particularly watery because I wanted to rub away the paint and get this sort of effect in the background. That was a new stencil that I got from Stencil Girl. This is just a lovely one with different mix of circles on it, and squares and circles patterns, but I really quite like how it came out. So I'm trying to work out how to stencil the best. I still have my broken wrist. Stenciling is still not a brilliant science as yet with me, but I'm getting a little bit better at it. The secret to stenciling in any case is very, very little paint on your sponge, so pounce it out a few times, and an up and down motion, and try and hold your stencil still. Now I was struggling with holding my stencil still, which is why I had the paper towel there and I was holding that down with my cast. But obviously if you've got two working hands, you use one of your hands, or you can use magnets and all sorts to hold your stencils down. To add a little bit of extra interest, I am putting in some mark making stamps. One thing I will say is, with that stenciling in the background, I thought it was a little bit too opaque, so I just wanted to knock back a little bit of that white. So I actually used a wet wipe to wipe away some of my stenciling, so just to soften off the edges a little bit. So now what I'm doing is using this Tim Holtz stamp, which is one of my favorite stamps, of a doodled leaf. And I really love this because it's a beautiful stamped image, but it's also really loose. And for those people who are not confident with drawing or making their own marks on the page, this is a really great stamp to stamp out and draw over the top, like I'm doing here, to get those sort of really loose figures. So you've got your template, I suppose, that you're drawing over the top of. And it doesn't matter that you can see a little bit of the stamping underneath. By putting over a contrasting colour like the white, it just really helps it pop out from the back page, which I love. So I'm really not being very careful with how I'm doing this, obviously, because I'm doing it with my left hand as well. So I've got very little control of what I'm doing. So it really is jiggity jaggedy and all over the place. But that's okay, that's what I want. And it makes it look a little bit more organic, I suppose, that you don't have to think about it. Once I finished drawing in all pattern, I thought that it needed something else. It was now getting a little bit too white. So what I actually chose to do was then go over the top again with some black, which seems kind of redundant, but having the black over the top again, I'm not necessarily drawing over the white. You can still see that peeping through, but it almost gives a highlight to the stamped image that it would be really hard to achieve. Well, you can do it if you offset your stamping. So you might stamp it in white ink first and then slightly offset your stamped image and then stamp over it in black. So there are ways to do it if you don't want to spend the time sort of drawing around it. But you can see here, it really doesn't take all that much time. And I like it because it's a really great way of almost training your hand to do those sorts of marks on your pages. The pen I used there to do that was a football pen, which is permanent, but it when dry, but it can be I don't think it is permanent actually, sorry, I might have told a lie. It can be water reactive, but if you dry it, it's pretty good. So, but I knew this was the last layer that I was going to do on this. The last little thing that I was going to do is to find a quote to go on to this page. And this is a kit, or little pack of paper quotes from, I think it's Paper Rose, and you get 2 of each in each box. I quite like them. It's the first time I've come across them, and this is the first page I used them on, but there's some lovely quotes in it. And I like that they're printed on cardboard, so you can sort of decorate them up however you like. So I'm just gluing it down onto the page, and then I'm going to edge it with a little bit of black, I think, just to again sort of frame it up on the page. You can see my cutting of my thing is not brilliant, but you know, that's how things go. So I'm using a Stabilo oil pencil. You can see I slightly drew over the edge of it, but that's okay. Adds the quirky nature of it. I'm just sort of drawing a sketchy little frame around the outside. I actually decided to paint over it with the Stabilo oil pencil, just the extra water and ink that was on my pencil, to blend that into the page a little bit more. So in the close-up you can see that stenciling and the tissue paper in the background and all the little stamped images as well. Stamped mark making is fantastic if you're not confident in mark making yourself, and it's a great way to give you confidence to make your own marks in the future. So I really hope you enjoyed watching this video. Please check out my channel for lots more videos to help you out along your way in your art journaling passion career. Until next time, bye for now.